we do have forums.
We have our quorum and it is 6 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get started. Do we have any corrections to the minutes? Right. Hearing no corrections to the minutes, they stand as read. We need to elect a chair and a vice chair, but before we do that, we should probably actually introduce ourselves to everybody. We have some new members. So I'll go ahead and start. I'm Tad Dockery. I joined the committee because of I'm car free. I'm a pedestrian, I'm a bike user, and I'm a transit user. And I wanted to help out. So I've been with the committee now for 3 years.
Excellent. My name is Kim Madden. I am the Alder representative for District 2. I am also an active bicyclist, take transport downtown, especially because I don't mind driving my car, but boy, I hate parking it. And then obviously all of us are pedestrians. So I'm excited to be here. This was a new assignment for me. It's my first year.
Let's go to Kirsten.
Okay, I'm Kirsten Klockner, and my story is similar to Tad. I'm not completely car free, but mostly, and I choose to bike, commute, walk, and bus to almost all my daily things. The reason I joined the committee was mostly to help those who are more vulnerable. So maybe those less experienced at navigating things than I am. Or that have a harder time getting around than I do.
Steve?
I'm Steve Small. I'm also the liaison from the Commission on Aging, and I'm thinking I must be getting close to being a year on this committee. But as I said, I'm the liaison over from the Commission on Aging. I'm retired. I live near Pheasant Brand, so I use that almost every day. I'm also, from the Aging Commission, I'm probably the most avid biker of the group. So I think that's why I was volunteered from them to be on this committee.
Keaton.
Yeah, hello. I am similarly an avid biker. I'm sensing a theme here. I bike to errands, commuting, just exercise in general. Love it. Moved to Middleton about a year ago and just want to kind of get involved and do my part for the civic process. Nice to meet y'all.
Madeline.
Hi, I'm Madeline. I joined this committee because I love using the trails and I was really interested in getting involved with my city because I've grown up in Middleton and I really thought that this spoke to me and it sounded really interesting.
Brad.
Yes, my name's Brad Burkle. I'm in Misty Valley off High Road by all the new construction. I joined the committee about a year ago. I'm a competitive cyclist and runner, so I'm constantly in danger on the city, moving too quickly. So I'm here to help myself and others like me. I also walk a ton, so I'm familiar with those issues.
All right, so let's go ahead and elect our chair. Do we have any nominations for chair? Kirsten.
I nominate you again, Ted, if you're willing.
Okay. I'm willing. That's fine.
I'll second that.
Oh, okay.
I was just had a question about who the current vice chair is, if they're even on the committee. I didn't know who that was.
It was, oh, I'm terrible. I'm forgetting his name. It was our previous council representative.
Okay.
I'm blanking.
So
Oh,
they're not eligible to be
No.
vice chair. That's
Oh,
part of
Yeah,
my.
it was Todd. He's not eligible this time. Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
would nominate Kirsten. You seem to be experienced on a lot of the subject matter for vice chair.
Okay, we'll get there. Sorry.
Oh, we're not there yet.
No, we need to just do chair first.
Okay.
Do we have any other nominations for chair? Okay, hearing none, I am elected by acclamation. It's still a funny phrase to me. All right, so do we have nominations for vice chair? Steve, I believe you had one.
As I said, I would nominate Kirsten for vice chair. She's got, the experience on this committee, so I'm hoping she's open to that.
Kirsten, are you willing?
I am. The one thing that we discussed 3 years ago or 2 years ago was that the vice chair should preferably be an alder or a city staff person. I'm not sure if that's the direction that we want to go again.
I don't think city staff can technically be.
Yeah,
Or an older, and oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the only concern I have is that the vice chair should be someone who is going to show up frequently. So
Yep, I am 100% willing. Just so everybody knows, I am dealing with being a caregiver for my mother who's in a nursing home in Minneapolis. And so if I do feel that the weight is too heavy, I would give notice and step down. But until that time, I'm happy if you want me.
all right.
Is my understanding correct, though? Primarily, the vice chair steps in when the chair's not available. Are there other responsibilities?
Yeah.
Than that?
It's basically that. If my computer ever freezes, I've got a new one though. It should be good this time. Do we have any other nominations for vice chair? All right, hearing none, Kirsten is our vice chair by acclamation. All right, decision on meeting times and locations.
Yeah, so I put this on the agenda just because I heard from Mark that you guys hadn't really established if you were gonna do it in person, hybrid, or only online meetings. So I wanted to open this time because I know there are a lot of new members. I'm also a new staff member, so I thought it would be a good time for committee members to discuss their preferences. And I know Alder Madden can only make it after 6 p.m. So that's why our meeting, this week was after 6 p.m. So I just wanted to check in with all the committee members if, 6 p.m. would be a good meeting time going forward as well.
Kirsten?
Since I'm now vice chair, I guess, I'm I'm fine with 6 if it is Monday through Thursday. I am not necessarily great with in person because I have so many clients who are autoimmune compromised and 2 who are going through transplants right now. So I am trying to limit my risk of exposure. So if we can do hybrid or mostly virtual, I'm good.
Yeah, and I mean, another option is also, I know workforce housing, I used to staff that, and they have like 1 or 2 meetings in person a year. And then all of the other ones are online. So that's also another option if you wanted to do that. Because I know hybrid can also be kind of weird for those in person and those online, and the meeting dynamics are just really weird hybrid. So if you wanted to just stick with, in person or online, that can also be an option.
My strong preference is for online only unless we have like a task that we can only accomplish in person. I mean, so our meeting packet is online. We're recording anyway. Some of our members like Kirsten can't or try to limit their exposure. I'll be honest, I came here in person little grumpy.
You had to come through the
I
rain.
had to come
Yeah.
through the rain, so for me, from my apartment to City Hall is either a 40-minute walk. It's about a 11-minute bike ride, and I have to go on Parmenter, and I'm honestly still not confident about that once the evenings start getting shorter.
Yeah.
And by bus, I have to come 30 minutes early. If we do it at 6 o'clock or at 6:30, it doesn't matter. If we do what normal people like to do and put it at the top or the bottom of the hour, I have to come a whole half hour early. And then if we end at the top or the bottom, then I have to wait a half hour to go home.
Yeah.
So I have a very strong preference for online only unless and I do like the idea of a map session where we just have maps on a table and doodle on that, but I would prefer to schedule those explicitly instead of having any kind of standing hybrid, and I prefer the virtual only. I don't know how hybrid impacts you specifically. If that requires you to stay at the office, I'm not really like, make Daphne stay at the office. If you're already staying anyway, if we're online, then I guess that's fine. But
Yeah.
like, whatever you're comfortable with there. But I just kind of prefer to limit the burden on you and on us.
Well, while I'm okay with primarily virtual, I think we talked about this at the last meeting. I like the idea of at least one in-person meeting, especially early on when we're just getting to meet one another. I mean, for me, it does help me get to know people. I had made a discovery that I didn't even realize that Mark Opitz literally lives across the woods. I could see his house when the leaves are off the tree, but I did not know that. He was always just this little box on my screen, and I've probably passed him on the street, but I did not know that because I had never met him in person. So I would at least advocate for one meeting early on, just as a chance. And again, if it, not a requirement. If people need to meet virtually for that as well, that'd be fine. But I like the idea of at least getting to meet people in person, at least initially, early on. So that would be my vote.
Kirsten?
If we're gonna be doing biannual meetings with Public Works, maybe that would be the good in-person meeting to do with the Public Works Committee.
Do they meet in person? Do they meet virtually? Do you know?
We're hybrid. Public Works is a hybrid meeting.
Well, again, I'm open to when we might do that. I just like the idea of getting to know people in the
Yeah.
flesh at least one time.
Yeah. So does anybody else have concerns about the day of the week? We've typically done first Thursday. This happens to be the second, but it would normally first Thursday, good with everybody, more or less?
Yeah.
And 6 p.m. sounding good to everybody? All right, awesome. I think we have our plan then. It sounds like we're going to be primarily virtual, and we will plan some in-person meetings, including maybe Saturday bike rides. I just threw that one in there, but
That's a great idea.
it's a thought.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
All right. Any other feedback on that? All right, moving on to item number 3, the Bach Community Forest and Graber Pond Conservancy Plan feedback.
Yeah, so sorry for springing this onto you guys. It was also kind of sprung onto me when I came back from vacation this week, but the Conservancy Lands Commission, they've been working on this for a while now. I know they have like a whole plan and now they're parceling it out into these smaller plans. So hopefully those specific pages that Kevin Short laid out for you guys was a little more helpful. So you didn't have to read, all of those pages. And so He just really wanted any feedback you guys might have had on, specifically the trail section, and they had some recommendations for ped bike transit as well. So if you have anything, I'm happy to take down the notes and then send them along.
Keaton.
Yeah. Me Sorry, long day. I read through this and very interesting stuff. One thing that really struck me was the discussion about whether to pave certain sections of the limestone trails. I think they specifically mentioned that it was a contentious issue, and not sure if it's exactly our place or our role to interject into that debate. I personally have biked Pheasant Branch a couple times and everything, and I would really like to see some of the limestone trails be paved. I think that would be quite nice and would lead me to bike it more often than I do.
Kirsten.
Yeah, so I attended the International Trail Building Summit this spring here in Madison, and I know this has been brought up many times in the committee, but for the people who are new, Keaton, you'll love this. So as you know, as most people know, we have a really big washout issue in the Conservancy, where we get enormous drainage issues, ruts, washouts. Brad, I know you and I have talked about this as well. If we're sticking with natural surfaces, I think that more water mitigation needs to be addressed. If we are going to go to paved, it needs to be permeable because it is close to wetlands, and not the hard surface. And I know that Kelly was saying that we're moving away from, the city's moving away from asphalt or permeable surface trails. But I think that we need to revisit that and actually implement again, because Penny Klein was the pusher of that in the city, and it has been proven to last longer and drain water much better than non-permeable asphalt. So I know that's a long thing, but if we're going with natural surfaces, we really need to look at trail construction and have proper drainage. If we are going with paved, it needs to be permeable.
Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we had this discussion sometime this year, right? I don't know where we ended up, and I guess my first question is just kind of when, if there'll be an opportunity to talk with these other committees about what where we might go with that. I guess I understand where Keaton's coming from, although I guess I'd probably lean the other way. My bigger concern, and I know having it paved would make it more accessible for folks who are in wheelchairs and so on. But I also worry about, the having paved trails will bring in more bikes and lead to a lot more e-bikes and some conflicts potentially between walkers and bikers. I mean, that'd be my concern. On the other hand, the gravel trails do slow people down. And that, it seems to me, this is a conversation we had earlier. I don't know where we ended up or if we concluded anything, but I feel like at some point we're going to have to come back to this. But that would be my reservation, at least, with paving them. In addition to the issues that Kirsten brought up in terms of the environmental ones. But I do have some concerns, and I think that's an issue we're going to have to probably revisit it more generally, right? Which we've talked about at other meetings, which is, especially with e-bikes and the speed of some of them. And like I said, that would be my concern about paving it. But I don't know when we'll come back to this and how we intersect with this other committee on discussing what gets done here. I don't know. I guess that's a question for.
I can provide, I mean, I can't provide any specific answers, but I do know as part of the active transportation plan, that is something that we are looking to start the conversation on, at least with Parks and Recreation and Conservancy lands. Because yeah, I know this is definitely an ongoing thing. And so at least part of that active transportation plan, we're hoping to start kind of categorizing trails, like, you
Yeah.
know, like roads, there's like the arterial collector.
Yeah,
And then, you know, having priorities on
I-
what can be paved and what.
right.
Yeah.
I think Steve is making a very good point here. My perspective on it is that we are trying to avoid deciding what the trails are for and just saying they're for everybody. And as a result, they kind of fail for everybody in some way because we're trying to squish everybody onto a kind of tiny facility. Brad.
Just from the runner perspective, there's a significant lack of soft surface trails in the city, outside of the limestone path and the conservancy. And there is a significant value to having something a little bit softer to run on than asphalt. I imagine if we ask all the runners using the conservancy, that they will 100% agree. That is just another perspective. But having that as a resource is incredibly valuable to us.
Kirsten?
And I agree with Brad on that as well, since I am also a runner. The main thing with the speed and e-bikes is not thinking about, I mean, we're in a world now where e-bikes are going to take over. But it's not really addressing the e-bike issue, it's addressing the speed and enforcing, educating and placing rules on a speed limit on the trail, because I know plenty of road cyclists and gravel racers that do not use e-bikes and go 20 miles an hour on the trails, that are extremely dangerous in their riding, or mountain bikers. So it's more about the education and enforcement, and then creating safe sight lines.
Yeah, and that's something we can, propose to the L&O committee, because that's been kind of on my brain too. Not just in the conservancy, but even using Madison's trail system, like whether you get passed on the left by somebody going 22 miles an hour on a road bike or on an e-bike, you're still getting passed at 22 miles an hour. And when the trails are crowded, and Middleton's trails are particularly crowded because they're beautiful and people want to use them, that we do have to, I think, make that some sort of ordinance. So that would be my suggestion, is to go ahead and suggest it. I would even, I know that the standard, or at least as far as I could see, a standard was 15 miles an hour on trails. I think that even is too fast, and would propose 10 for bikes and e-bikes on the trails. But we can, we can discuss that as a committee, as an item, and then bring that to L&O.
Right.
That's gonna have to be by ordinance.
Yeah, and I think related to that that goes back to what I was saying. We're trying to cram everybody in. Right. If we are going to have recreational pedestrians, families, older people with mobility issues on these facilities, then yes, 15 is way too fast. On the other hand, if we want to establish an area that is going to be a paved surface intended for use by cycling commuters, then that's an area where we would want 15. So we need to, we definitely need to be considering each type of, we are going to have to make decisions about every single traffic type, from runners to walkers to everything. So I think that's one thing we're gonna have to tell these guys.
Well, I think that we're going to have to be specific too about what trails we potentially pave and which ones we don't. Some of those gravel trails they're just not accessible. If you have a wheelchair, you're pushing a stroller, washouts are an issue, mobility is an issue. We can widen a lot of those paths once we pave them, to give people more space, right? And we don't have to pave the entire circuit. I don't think that there's a one size fits all paved versus limestone solution. I think we need to look at it area by area and trail by trail.
Kirsten?
Yeah, and as we move forth with this, I think it's important to talk about education, like PSAs, public safety announcements, and we can make them playful and fun. Um, I know that the cross-country running teams, I'm sure that most people who've used the Conservancy paths have run into them in the fall, where they're running for abreast at a pretty fast clip and pretty much push other users off the trail. It's about kindness, educating, and maybe checking or calling people out in a kind way when they are not using the trail respectfully. Um, I'm wondering if, our committee can put out a PSA to have on the website and sent out to folks.
Steve, did you have something?
Yeah, I mean, I think the point about, again, I don't know it'll get addressed more broadly, but that we do, I think that it's a good point about addressing, it doesn't have to be a solution for the entire conservancy. I remember the discussion now that we had whenever it was last fall or winter was partly about mobility issues and the gravel, and it was a biker. I think there was a cyclist who came and was concerned, but it strikes me too that, you could end up paving that section in the Bach forest, which is, I guess, why we're talking about this, right? And you could have like what they do in Minneapolis as well. If we get to this point and there's funding for where you have a pedestrian area and you have a cyclist area, there are things like that might work out well. And that's pretty open space. I mean, if we got funding, that might be a solution for that in any case. And that I know was a more dangerous area. And I think that's why we ended up talking about it, because of the hill and the gravel. So something to keep in mind if this is something that we're going to further pursue.
I do have a question for Kirsten, maybe. It's sort of related to the pervious paving. Do you know anything about pavers? Because I don't have a great amount of knowledge about them, but
Are you talking about the triangular pavers that let water seep through?
I'm still thinking more old school, like brick or just any kind of fitted multi-element that has a pervious surface between each
I
element.
say that would be absolutely unsafe for pedestrians and cyclists. They get very slick in rain.
Okay.
And with the winter heaving, they're going to become uneven.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look downtown where all those cobblestones are, once they
Right.
settle, you start getting buckling, so that can be problematic.
As a person from much warmer climates, I can always forget that.
Arkansas, yeah. If people want to look at the permeable surface that I'm talking about, the last standing section is along Allen Boulevard, from where it ends up to University. That was Penny Klein's big push. The creek trail used to be the permeable surface, but after the flood, they repaved it with the hard surface. And I would encourage everybody over winter or spring, the freeze thaw, to go and check out that permeable surface along Allen and see how quickly it dries and sheds water.
Okay, any other comments for Bog Forest? If not, we can move to Graber Pond. I don't know if there's anything different for Graber you guys saw.
I think it might be more of the same.
Yeah. Oh, Brad has a hand.
Oh, Brad.
So the Graber trails are my neighborhood. I walk them every single day. I know all the issues that are going on with them. So I could comment for hours, but I don't need to. But just for example, this mode trail that we're looking at in the Savannah unit, the reason that's there is because Graber Road does not have a sidewalk. And the paved trail exits further down Graber Road. If you're heading towards Parmenter on Graber, there's no pedestrian opportunities currently. So it's taking you further away from where you want to go, which is up Spring Hill. And then not giving you any sidewalk to walk on to get to it. So this short little trail is here because there's no sidewalk up there, and it shortens the amount of time that you have to spend off of sidewalk. I believe the city started mowing it because everyone was walking it. So the question in relation to what to do about this is there going to be sidewalk on Graber? The plan we're looking at shows a recommendation for a full circuit around the pond, but currently we're kind of stuck with what happens at Graber Road with this trail system.
Kirsten?
As a cyclist that uses that road a fair amount, I always see people from Springs and Nons, the staff, walking on the road that you're talking about, Brad, to get to it. And I think that we do, because of businesses being there, I think we do need to make some sort of path or trail to access that when the road is redone. I think that we need to look at it.
Just to follow up on that, as a recommendation from the committee, we should highly push for a path completely surrounding Graber Pond. I believe it's been in plans before. I think the new development on Parmenter has an opportunity to build some trail so that the city won't be taking on all of that. But I'm not positive. But we need more trail up there.
And that would be a connector also to the trail that runs along 12, essentially, if we continued it. Brad, you use this a lot. When you say that water mitigation is probably one of the biggest issues on the trails around Graber?
There are some low spots on the paved path that flood. I think the boardwalk is the biggest issue in terms of water mitigation. I know there are other plans to help the big rain events put the boardwalk underwater. But the culvert under Misty Valley Road is going to be enlarged as part of this conservation plan, so that should help that. But the boardwalk is an issue. It floods every year.
And we might want to look at Tiedemann and Stricker Pond as a guide for that, since they had a lot of issues with that and have now changed it so that the boardwalk is no longer underwater. Because it's a very similar, I guess, space.
In this case, I think it's less a trail issue and more figuring out what to do with that water. And then the trail should take care of itself. Sorry, can we look at the map that shows the future plan for the whole Graber Conservancy?
That is page 52, our page 126.
Thank you. Very helpful.
That right, Brad?
Yes, this. So this does not designate the trail along High Road that would connect to Woodisley.
Oh, like where that connection would be.
Well, it would start at the end of Keneal Trail, across High Road, and then but it goes through those wetlands, but it is
Mhm.
not delineated on this map, and I'm curious as to why.
Oh, you mean the one it like cuts across this
Yes,
area?
it's a proposed trail, but
Right.
we're hoping for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a couple trails I think that go along this area.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that.
It's in shown on
I think they
a little further
included,
up.
yeah. I'm thinking like
Yeah, because we have the map of the
there's Red
Yes,
Tail.
in the red tail map,
it's
Ridge.
Pheasant Crossing.
Oh, sorry, Pheasant Crossing. Excuse me.
Yes, this
Does
one.
show it here.
Yeah,
Yes.
this trail. Okay. Yeah, I'll make a note of that.
So am I right that Graber Road, since it's going to be cutting through, will be rebuilt all the way out to Parmenter? Is that, is that,
Um,
do we know that?
that's a good question, Steve. I'm not sure if they're rebuilding the existing portion. They might just be kind of like fixing up this stub part and then extending it out. The new part will have sidewalks. They're like, you can kind of see them on this map here. But yeah, I'm not sure if they would be rebuilding that existing
Okay.
part. Yeah.
That's the question with the issue of sidewalks, whether they'll go all the way out or not, because, well, there's going to be there's continued development on Parmenter for that matter. So you think that would be a positive thing to continue it out, but
Yeah, and connectivity is a huge thing. I mean, we ran into that with Allen Boulevard, the last bit of trail not being in until this year. You know, for people like Brad, connectivity, or even kids getting to friends' houses, connectivity is huge.
Just a further comment on that, with the construction on for Pheasant Crossing, the paved path on High Road is it's been pretty severely damaged, totally understandably. Um, but I'm hearing a lot from I'm on the HOA board in my neighborhood. I'm hearing a lot from our association members that children are finding it nearly impossible right now to get from our neighborhood into the city, because that trail is so chucked up and there's nowhere else to go. And this conservancy plan is an opportunity to, as Kirsten said, work on connectivity, both to Parmenter and the Highway 12 path, which all are very close to this conservancy, but we're not seeing those paths.
is there a plan to hook up with the Highway 12? I mean, is that in anywhere? I know it was raised. That's a really good idea, but is it in any of the plans? Red Tail, is it in there?
That would go through Bell Farm.
Yeah, so this is Bellefontaine Boulevard. That would come through. And there is I believe it's an on-road bike path. Or there might be a multi-use path on one side, I think. And
Yeah.
it goes all the way through Bell Farm to Parmenter. But I think that was.
Just back on that map, the multi-use path is currently designated as native growth and not trail along Bellefontaine,
Yeah.
between High Road and Bell Farm. So for the feedback that Kevin's looking for, was it just in terms of trails? And are we basically saying we want more of them?
More and more types.
All right.
Well, and the emphasis, like we said, on connectivity.
Connectivity and also well-built trails that whether they be natural surfaces or permeable, that they are built correctly for water mitigation. With climate change, I think that has to be at the top of our list.
Do we have any more comments? All right. Item number 4, resolution to support week without driving.
Okay, so this, I think was basically just an example that we took from last year. I know, one of the other alders, Alder Haniro, wanted to push this one. And so this, I mean, if you have anything you would like to change, or, you know, if you guys didn't have time to read through this because you were reading through all the other plans, that's totally fine, because the week without driving isn't until September. So we still have, you know, one more month that we can go, to, you know, tinker with this, or, you know, look at this. So it's okay if you guys don't want to, you know, put a vote on this yet, if you wanted to support it or not. But I wanted to put this out there for you guys as soon as possible.
Kirsten?
Yeah, I support it, and Lisa Hinaro really is pushing it, which I love, having older support. Showing that we had 80 people for the ride. I was out of town, but bike week, I think that we need more things like this, and it would be a nice way to start the warm season with bike week and then end it, especially with school coming on with week without driving, and maybe get the high school involved, and also public works involved. This would be a great way to join forces, to have maybe one event versus multiple events like bike week. You know, maybe one of those Sunday rides or Saturday rides, and try to get other committees with the city involved.
Maddie, can you rouse up some kind of high school musical to get everybody on their bikes?
Yeah, but honestly, I think it would be great to see a lot more like bikes out there, and especially like it is very difficult to get people my age to, you know, not rely so much on their, and actually just like, you know, participate in something like this for a good cause. So I I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point though.
Maddie, would you be willing to work with me or another committee member, in maybe driving kids to bike to school one day, during that week?
I think that would be great. Yeah,
Okay.
I would definitely be up for that.
I just had kind of a process question about this, fully in support of the resolution, but is it, it's my understanding we would support this resolution and then it would be like voted on by the Common Council and everything, then officially adopted via them. And we're just giving advice and feedback and our support.
That's- Yep.
Splendid. Okay, yep, just acclimating.
Yeah, no worries.
Appreciate the
Yeah, so,
clarification.
Yeah. So the resolution is basically, Ped Bike Trans is giving their blessing on this resolution. If there are any comments you want to make or edits you want to make to it, now would be the time. But then if you guys vote to, support it, it would go on to Common Council and they would ultimately decide on it.
Gotcha. Appreciated.
Do we have any comments on the wording? Are we feeling good about it?
I like the wording. I think it hits all of the major components of, what the goal of a week without driving would be and the kinds of things we want to bring attention to. So I support it as written.
Okay. Are we ready to support it tonight? All right, then let's go ahead and do that.
Do we need a motion?
I think we do, yes.
Okay, then I would make the motion to support the proclamation for a week without, or resolution for a week without driving.
This is Kirsten. I second it.
All right, we have a motion to support the wording for the week without driving, whatever Daphne's typing in. And we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, the motion carries. And a resolution to support B-Cycle is item number 5. Similar concept.
Yes, so I just wanted to give a little history because my department has tried to support this 2 other times. This might be, I think, our 3rd time where we've brought this forward. And so both times, it's really been a matter of like maintenance or the operation costs of B-Cycle. So this resolution is to support a grant to provide funding for the capital cost. So just, buying the bikes and the stations and all of that and putting that in. The main holdup that we've seen in the past is that, it does take maintenance costs. We have to pay B-Cycle to bring bikes if we don't have enough bikes or fix up the bikes and all of that. And so that's where we've gotten hung up a lot about, how we can maintain something like this. But we've gotten a lot of support from Capital Brewery, and a lot of the bikers at Capital Brewery have been asking us and reaching out to us about when is Middleton going to get B-Cycle? Fitchburg has B-Cycle, all this stuff. And so we're like, well, if you guys are willing to like support it and provide your input and all of that, my department is willing to shell out our necks to support B-Cycle again. So that's kind of the history behind it. And so we are working to, discuss with Capital Brewery and with Public Works and our other departments to see how we can get that funding side for the operations for it. But yeah. And Kirsten has her hand raised.
Oh, Kirsten.
Yeah, I've been following this for about 10 years and I know there was discussion about training and having Middleton staff do the repairs. I'm fully against it, and that's why I voted B-Cycle down in the beginning to come to Middleton. I'm fully supportive of B-Cycle coming to Middleton as long as B-Cycle is the group that maintains the bikes. And not the city of Middleton, because they are trained in it. I also believe that the operating costs should be covered by the tourism board or the tourism group in Middleton, since it is directly benefiting them and they do have excess funds.
I'm certainly very supportive of B-Cycle coming. I'm going to imagine that part of the application is going to require some commitment from someplace in the city, I would think. Is that not right, Daphne?
Yes,
To-
yeah.
For the for the continued maintenance, do we have a sense of where that will come from, or is that to be figured later?
Yeah, right now, we're still trying to figure that out with our different departments and how funding will work. I think we can, with this grant, we do have some, budgeted funds for, putting in trails and streets and all of that. And so maybe we can, have that as part of the match, but, yeah, we're still discussing on where exactly our matching funds will come from.
Well, in general, I do support it. I'd love to see it here. I think there'd be a lot of use. Maybe some of the people who over imbibe at the brewery can ride them home. I don't know. That's maybe a little less dangerous.
I
I'd
think
also
here's-
be in support. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was also just going to say I'm in support of B-Cycle coming. I know when we have guests up, not from the area, it's very nice to have access to B-Cycles and bikes for them so that you can communally enjoy the paths, which makes sense on the point about the tourism Met board chipping in for this, because at least personally, that's where I see lots of the use for it coming from.
Because I think we'll see, and I was just going to second Kirsten's, and now yours, point about tourism pitching in to help with some of this. And I think we can also reach out to the Downtown Middleton Business Association. They're, if we're talking about people coming from, say, taking a B-cycle from Fitchburg or Madison, or us taking a B-cycle to Fitchburg or Madison, those are the businesses that are really going to benefit from, the additional transportation availability and the additional tourist dollars, right? So there's, I think, a lot of opportunity, even some of the local hotel chains, right? If you're staying here overnight, staying here for a conference, it's nice to be able to get on an e-bike and check out the neighborhood and the place where you are without having to have a car. Right, so I think there's a lot of opportunity for I think private and public funding for this, and there's, I think, a lot of support for it. Everybody that I talked to about it has mentioned it. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Everybody that I see at the brewery, I know I talked to, had a long conversation with Tegan.
Oh, yeah.
About this, and I think I even mentioned at my very first meeting, I'm like, hey, what's the deal with these cycles? Everyone's like, oh, the history. So I'm very much in support of this, and I think anything that we can to get those dollars online, we should pursue.
So, with some of this discussion about other aspects of the funding, do we have concerns about the language of the resolution as it's included in the packet?
I don't have any concerns about the language, but boy, we should highlight that whereas bicycling offers a myriad of health, economic, and community benefits.
Make the
like,
whole thing.
Make the whole,
all
like,
caps.
But in all seriousness, that's kind of the crux of the argument, right?
And my main concern, just for coming from lifelong time on bikes, is the maintenance, to make sure that we have the funding to maintain them, so that half of them don't end up broken and just becomes a big headache, and then we drop the program.
You need a motion, Ted, that we support this language?
Well, yes, if we support this language, we need a motion that we do. If we're concerned about whether maintenance should be mentioned, though I guess it doesn't have to be, but I'm just. I think we either have a motion to support this language or we recommend tweaks.
I would recommend supporting it as written. We can tweak the finer points of things like maintenance
All right,
monies and where exactly the rest of everything is coming. I think that's part of the larger discussion. But if we really want to get this ball rolling, like, I think this is the right resolution to make.
all right,
So I will make the motion.
all right.
I'll second.
Yeah. Brad.
That's
second.
Brad seconding.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I
Those, yep, that's everybody. Okay, motion is unanimous.
Great.
All right. Discussion on the construction lane closure.
Yes, and I'm sorry I didn't add this to the packet, but Kirsten had sent me a photo of University and Allen Boulevard, that the cluster that is happening there. And so let me see if I can, oh, I don't think I'm logged in onto this computer.
And I can describe it too, Daphne.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I brought this up because for years we've been talking about complete streets and we've adopted complete streets. And for those who have traveled along Century Avenue in the last 3 weeks, they know about the backups because of the signal changes that are being made on both Q and Century and Allen and Century, where we're down to one lane. My main concern here is that all crosswalks at both intersections and all sidewalks at both intersections to cross over Century Avenue are closed, although they did lift it right now because I did some digging and spoke with Lisa Hynaro, Alder Hynaro, about it, that there was a delay in the signal changes. And so now they've pulled some of those blockades, but for 2 weeks, people could not cross Century Avenue at either intersection. And that means they couldn't safely get to the bus stops or CVS or any of the businesses on the corners. And that the closest crossings would be for people if on Allen Boulevard to walk up to Highland or walk up to Branch Street, which was completely ridiculous. Both intersections were closed for a solid 2 weeks, and they will be closed again once they get the equipment to change the signals. Complete Streets states that the city will incorporate this policy to all public right-of-way improvements and project phases, including construction and construction management, making it safe for pedestrians and cyclists and those on micromobility to safely cross roads. As everybody knows, Century Avenue is extremely dangerous no matter what, as is Allen, as is Q. And to take away all crosswalks and walk lights, I think it's really irresponsible. And I think that we need to discuss how to hold the city and county accountable when these construction things happen, because of course Century Avenue is going to be repaved soon. So right now it's kind of a moot point for this round, but looking forward, I think that we need to figure out who to hold accountable and how to make this stated that they will be held accountable if not following these rules. Does that make sense?
It did, and just to follow up, another example is that path on High Road, when the Pheasant Crossing construction started, the developers closed that path. They didn't run it by the city because I spoke with Alder Hanairo, my Alder, about it. And she had to go through the city to have the developer remove the sidewalk sign, the no sidewalk signs that they had put up. It'd be nice if there was a process where citizens didn't have to monitor these things. Because the only way it was changed was because I contacted Alder Haniro on behalf of my neighborhood.
Yeah, that has been a consistent problem in the past where the city, for whatever reason, lacks the ability to regulate the contractors. The building I currently live in, I enjoy living there, but when it was being constructed and I did not live there, it had the same issue. The contractors would just close the sidewalks, would not put adequate alternative paths, and also the people working on it routinely parked their cars in the bike lanes, and nothing happened about that. So we lack enforcement I think we technically have some kind of don't do that, but we lack the enforcement capability. And honestly, I suspect even though we have that don't do that, most of the contractors either don't know or realize they can get away with ignoring it. So,
And this would be a great topic to bring up with Public Works now that we have two new heads at Public Works on a policing system, if you will, and then figuring out a fine. I think that money talks, especially with contractors, and that if contractors are fined if they're blocking something improperly, they won't do it. But the fact that the city has been routinely doing it frightens me the most because we're not following our own rules.
So I know that we don't technically now have a liaison to the Public Works Committee, but I'm on the Public Works Committee and have been updating them in either case, but I'll make, it's not on this agenda, but we'll put it as a future agenda item. I'll mention it at this Monday's meeting. And then, yeah, I think definitely as a joint meeting topic, that is exactly what those kinds of those kinds of meetings are meant to do, but I'll be sure to bring it up at Public Works along with other things.
So that sounds like a good segue to talk about the Public Works.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know, it sounds like you guys have already been updated that Public Works is looking to do two meetings with Head Bike Transit. So I think we're looking at September for the joint meeting. And so this will definitely can be added to that agenda item. And then I think the other main topic that at least Ben John wanted to talk about was the budget. So the Public Works budget, streets budget, and all of that. So we'll probably be discussing those two items in particular at that joint meeting. And then the next one would probably be in April to discuss the 5-year street improvements plan. So those are kind of the two time periods, the September and April, that we'll be looking at for those joint meetings.
That sounds good to me.
Yep.
And the Public Works, they normally meet Tuesday at 6, is that correct?
It's Monday.
Mondays at 6:30, the second and fourth Monday of the month.
So could we make our September meeting that Public Works time, and maybe April they could make it ours?
Okay, yeah. I'll bring it up with Ben John, and yeah. That's a great idea to just have it as an existing meeting time.
That way each side gets a home and away game.
But what I don't know is if we are mandated by ordinance to
Oh, that's
on
true.
that
Yeah.
Monday at that time.
Well, yeah,
So we'll have to look into that. Otherwise, I'm all for the efficiency of combining meetings.
Any other items you'd like to put on the future agenda? I know, Kirsten, you mentioned the look both ways signs for the trail crossings. Is there anything else anyone has for future agenda items?
If nothing's coming to mind right now, you can always email Daphne
This is true.
before the
Yeah.
next meeting.
So the only thing that I was kind of kicking around was, and we had a discussion about wayfinding signs.
Mhm.
Which now that we are talking about expanding our trail system and making these things connected, it is extraordinarily helpful for pedestrians and bicyclists to know exactly which direction is where and where they're going on that trail system. So I know we've purchased some signs for some trails. I don't know where we are in actually implementing that and putting those up, but I would like an update from Parks as to where we are with
Okay.
wayfinding.
Nobody else has anything right now. We are done with our agenda, so we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you again next month. Good night.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Todd,
Bye.
Daphne.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.